that this is all working. Please, people, let me know in the chat if you can hear me and if you can see me, man, because we got a lot to talk about today and unpack. And as you all know, I do work a regular job, so I got about 45 minutes to an hour to get to get through all of this. Ben, what's up, man? Kamal, thank you very much for joining me. Can somebody please let me know we are live and you guys can see me and hear me so we can go? Hey, Lonray, I hope I'm saying your name right. Hear and see you. Thank you so much for letting me know, man. So, again, like I said, I have a lot to unpack today. I got some ideas. And, Ben, I read your question before I went live. We'll talk a little bit about that a little later. But I will talk about that. Just remind me again at the end to talk about the midfield. Because, actually, the midfield is a part of the notes that I have written down here in front of me that I want to go through. But not exactly in the same way you asked it. But we will cover it in the same way that you asked it too, man. So, what I really want to get started with is just talking about how we had a rough week. Hey, Pearl, how are you? We had a rough week with that draw against Fulham, and just a lot of people are just losing their heads. My own video, if you watch my video right after the game, I let Bruno have it, man, because Bruno just was not good that game. There were a lot of things, these little mistakes, these little breakings of the pattern that just make us look absolutely awful when we're not running the system right. So fans started fuming, and a lot of people are actually calling for him to get sacked. And the problem is with the British media and just media in general that if there's something negative to say about Manchester United, everyone's going to jump on board and do it because it gets a lot of views, it gets a lot of clicks. Guys, politics works in the same way. The normal news works in the same way. Stories that cause fear, panic, and chaos get more views. That's why you see more bad news on the regular news, and I'm not even talking about sports news, just regular political news. You see more bad news, more chaos, more fear-mongering than you hear about good deeds or good news, because people will get bored watching things that have like something good to say, unless it's like an incredible story where someone survived a miraculous, almost death experience. Then people will watch that. But if it's just a Mother Teresa type of story, some guy did a good deed, you're going to get 10 seconds of coverage on that. You're going to get 20 minutes of coverage on a shooting in a public area. Unfortunately, it just gets more views. It's the same thing with sports. So you're getting a lot of people right now just getting onto Bruno Amorim, on Ruben Amorim, and talking about how things need to change, or maybe the manager needs to be changed. Ruben Amorim doesn't understand what he's doing. His system doesn't work. His shape doesn't work, and blah, blah, blah. But the truth is, it's my belief that the system is solid. And I believe that the system is doing exactly what it's designed to do, which is moving opposition players and shapes around to cause openings in different areas. We're just not good at doing it, and we're not actually running this. We're not even running it that well, and it's Yo, are we live again? Because this is pretty crazy. Are we live, guys? I'm sorry, man. My computer just decided to shut down. Are we Man, that was scary for me. I was like, "Wait, what's happening?" Well, I'm back. Dude, I literally thought I got hacked or something. I'm like, "Dude, the Glazers are trying to stop me from talking." Man, that was messed up. That was really messed up. The computer just decided to restart. It said there was a fatal error or whatever, and it decided to restart. Man, like the stream, man. Like the stream. Get some people in here so they can't shut me up. They're trying to shut me up, guys. I hope you guys can hear me. I hope everything's okay. That was crazy for me. That was a first time experience. I was freaking out. I was like, "Oh my God, what is happening, dude?" I'm already an amateur at this. We really need to have a conversation around Casemiro. Man, yeah, we do. We need to have a conversation about the whole midfield. So as I was saying, hold on, man. I gotta actually, I'm freaking out now. Now my eyes need help. As I was saying, I think that the tactics are doing what they're supposed to be doing. I am a little bit freaked out. I had this whole show planned, and something goes wrong, and now I'm kind of like a little. I can feel the adrenaline in my body. So about the midfield, and since he brought up Casemiro, Milan, what's up, man? the thing about the midfield is like you guys can tell that he just doesn't favor Ugarte. And actually, let me see if I can do this and if I know what I'm doing here. So I even got all these things ready, and then that freaked me out and threw me off my game. But Ruben Amorim definitely doesn't favor Ugarte. It's obvious, right? It's obvious that every time he has an option, he's either starting Casemiro, and man, he was really late to bring in Ugarte in that Fulham game. He'd rather play Mason Mount in the back because, in his own words, because he didn't want to get too defensive. He wanted to still be able to create chances and score more goals. Guys, that's Ruben Amorim telling you that Ugarte is not offering enough in possession. I'll break it down to you. That's what he said. That's what he actually said. He didn't say that Ugarte is not good as a 6. All he said there was that Ugarte does not offer enough in possession, which is true. It's very true. I've made videos in the past when I break down our preseason games and I show you things that I go, Ugarte is really good defensively out of possession, but he's not that great in possession. And then Casemiro is a little bit lacking in both out of possession and in possession, but he's better than Ugarte in possession. And that's why he goes with Cas, but they're both not ideal. They're both not ideal. And I know some of you guys are going to go, well, then shouldn't you start Ugarte for safety? Well, that depends. See, Ruben Amorim isn't exactly the kind of manager that I believe. Look, I might be wrong. But Ruben Amorim isn't exactly the kind of manager that's a little bit like Jose Mourinho, where he's 1-0 is good enough. 1-0 is not good enough for him, obviously, and that's why he kept Mason Mount on in the Fulham game, because 1-0 is not enough for Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim is a little bit more about let's get 2 or 3 goals per game. Sporting were one of the highest scoring teams in Portugal. You got to remember, this is the kind of manager that if I told you, forget Ruben Amorim, if I described to you the kind of mentality Ruben Amorim has, but I didn't tell you what his name was. If I said, would you like a manager who likes to score a lot of goals, who wants to beat people by keeping the ball for the most part, but also by changing up his tactics to where there are a lot of diagonal runs, there's some long balls, but there's also some short passing patterns to penetrate teams to see how many chances you can create and score goals. And score goals in multiple ways, including using crosses, a lot of crosses, but also using short passes, through balls, and diagonal runs, and try to score a minimum of 3 goals a game. Like, you would say, yeah, that's exactly the kind of manager Manchester United should have. That's what we have. We just don't have the squad to run it. We don't have the squad to run it, and he's always trying to figure out the lesser of two evils. When I talk about Ugarte and Casemiro, I always say it's a pick your poison type of proposition. They're both poison, but you got to pick which poison you're going to go with. I'm trying to also read some of your comments, by the way, while I talk. So if you see my eyes wandering, it's because I'm trying to see if there's a comment that can bring up a nice conversation. Like Philip says, do Amorim's substitutions concern you? Was this an issue for him at Sporting, or was the team built better for him there? The team was built way better for him there. And you know what? That's a fantastic question. So let's talk about team building. Guys, in the last 8 years, stick with me here, and if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. In the last 8 years, every team that has won a major trophy, especially a Premier League trophy, every team that's won a major trophy or the Champions League, even if it's not a Premier League team, has had a squad that could field 2 top-level 11s. Think about that. 2 top-level 11s. What I'm trying to tell you is a squad that wins major trophies in the last 7 or 8 years has had at least 18 to 22 quality players in it. Can you really tell me that we have 18 to 22 quality players in our squad? No, we don't. We barely have 11. We don't have 11, by the way, because that goalkeeper is not top quality goalkeeping, and our midfielders are not top quality midfielders, especially the ones that are supposed to be a little bit more defensive minded, like Casemiro and Ugarte. Casemiro used to be top quality, but he's 30-something years old. He's no longer top quality. That's why Real Madrid gave him away to us, and they made good money off of it too. So he doesn't have a squad to challenge. So the fact that people are getting upset when we're not, in the top 4 of the leaderboard right now, it's not. We don't have that squad. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You think I want to look, guys, people will log in and do live shows and make videos, and they'll say whatever's going to get them clicks and views. I don't. I lose subscribers all the time. Sometimes I make videos and I look at my subscription count and I lost 5 subscribers. Thankfully, I gain more than I lose, but I'm not going to tell you guys something that's not factual. At least not, it has to be something I believe in for me to say it out loud. And I'm telling you right now, I don't believe our squad is good enough to challenge. We may challenge for top 5. I told you guys from the beginning, this is a 7th place type of team right now. If we get a couple more pieces, we might be a 5th place type of team. We're a 7th place type of team in the EPL, guys. I'm sorry to tell you that. That's what we are. Even with Cunha and Mbeumo and the person I can't wait to see who's over my shoulder right there, Benjamin Šeško, who I think given 5, 6, 7, 8 games, he's going to start coming good. Not his first start. I don't think his first start's going to be this amazing start. The kid is still 22 years old. He's still got to get his nerves out of the way. And that's what I'm seeing when I see him play in those cameos, that there's some nerves involved there. And the game's way faster in the EPL than he's ever experienced. So let's give him time. But to answer your question about the squad, are his substitutions concerning me? I don't know how many choices he actually has. The only substitution that concerned me in the last game is the fact, and I said it in my video, is the fact that Bruno was still on the field after 60 minutes. I think Mainoo should have had a run out, and I think because of that, we're starting to have problems with Kobbie Mainoo because he didn't give Mainoo his time on the field when he should have. He should have put that man, where is he? That man on the field and let him have a run out, because I don't think Bruno deserved to finish that game the way he was playing. That's just my opinion. Do we know why Ugarte left his Sporting team? Or was it just to play for a bigger team in PSG? Okay, so Ugarte, when he was playing for Sporting, his statistics were off the charts when it comes to defensive midfield work. But guys, it's the Portuguese league. There isn't that many amazing midfielders that he was going up against in the Portuguese league. So, and yes, he does cover a lot of ground. So those stats are substantiated. I'm not saying that they're fake stats. They are actually decent stats for a holding midfielder. But then you take Ugarte and you put him in the French league, and you get a what do you call it? A manager like Luis Enrique, who wants every one of his players to be good on the ball. And you got a problem. He can't have... Again, why did he get rid of Ugarte? Why did he bench Ugarte? Because he's not good in possession. It's not because of his out-of-possession work. It's because he's not good in possession, okay? Not good enough. Look, some people will argue and say that he's not bad. But he's not good enough. Not for a team who's trying to win something. Not for a team who wants to win a major trophy. He's not good enough. He doesn't distribute the ball like Casemiro does, and that's facts. Casemiro will hit the wings with longer balls. The problem with Casemiro is sometimes he's not supposed to make that pass, and he makes that pass. That last video I made was actually, no joke, 10 more minutes longer, and I was talking about how Dalot was ineffective against Fulham and all the mistakes that Diogo Dalot made, and I was talking about Casemiro going for zone 16 and 18 when it wasn't the right time to go to zone 16 and 18, and I showed one example of when De Ligt went to zone 18 when it was actually the right time. I would love to show you guys those things because they're already edited. I would love to do it on a live, but the problem is if I do it on a live and somehow I play 1 or 2 seconds too long of the action, I will get a copyright strike. So usually I upload the video, and if there's a problem, YouTube tells me before you guys see it, YouTube tells me that this minute of the video has a copyright warning, and then I have to go and re-edit it and make the clip shorter or fast forward the gameplay or pause it more often, zoom in a little so that it's not copywritten, and then I upload it to you guys. But that's the issue with Casemiro. He distributes the ball better, but sometimes he does it when you're like, why would you make that pass? He's the better passer out of both of them, but sometimes he puts the ball in the wrong position, guys. I hope that starts translating into goals. I'm not sure what we're talking about there. Do we know why? Already read that. Oh dear, getting Ugarte to pass well is a bit like Moses opening the Red Sea. Yeah, that's not going to happen, right? Well, it happened for Moses, but it's not going to happen for Ugarte. During preseason, the diamonds and triangles were far more used than in our last 2 matches. Milan is completely right, and that's what I was trying to get at in that video. I told you guys, I don't know if it's the nerves. I don't know where the bravery is. I don't know why the team is playing so awful as soon as the season started, whereas in preseason we were playing better. Then again, we were a little bit better against Arsenal. We were a little bit better against Arsenal with the triangles and diamonds, but Arsenal, okay, I can't wait to show you guys what I edited for the Arsenal video, because Arsenal was trying to take away the diamond by putting Zubimendi and Rice in the two positions that I always tell you guys the ball is supposed to exit out of. Those spots right around the center circle on the sides where the 10s are going to run into or the striker is going to run into and receive with his back to goal. Arsenal put Zubimendi and Rice there whenever we were building up from the back. And then what did we do? We went right up the middle to Bruno Fernandes because he was wide open. So we would go right up the middle. Guys, the system freaking works, and it has a lot of options. And we showed it in the Arsenal game. And we even changed up the option because Arsenal tried to take away something that we're really good at. And then they started collapsing on Bruno Fernandes again because they were like, okay, we can't do that anymore. So they had Zubimendi follow Bruno Fernandes, and then we started setting up the triangles and diamonds on the side way later, more in the second half. Subbing on Dalot, he starts cutting in even on that. That's why Amorim subbed off Ahmad. That was hilarious. Diogo Dalot is just not as intelligent a player as we need on the right wing back position. And the problem is, I hate to say it because I know some people are going to get upset with me, but Ahmad made some really bad decisions too with the ball and his movement without the ball in the Fulham game. And I was blown away because, guys, if you remember, I don't remember what game it was. Maybe it was the Bournemouth game. I did a preseason breakdown, and in that video, I kept saying our movement has gotten so much better, and one player has impressed me so much because he showed a lot of intelligence in that game, and his movement was great in that game, and then I revealed to you guys that player was Ahmad, and I showed you guys how Ahmad kept changing his movement to get into a triangle or a diamond. I showed at least 3 or 4 examples in that breakdown. And then this game against Fulham, I was like, where is he? Why is he there? Why is he breaking our shape apart? What's going on? And again, I feel that has to do with confidence, bravery. The season started, and now their minds are going at 100 miles an hour trying to prove something to the world, I guess, because of how much bad press we get. I wasn't too happy with that. And then Diogo Dalot comes on, and then the guy's like the really, really bad crosser of the ball, and you need someone who can cross the ball because Diogo Dalot gets the best looks for crosses. You know why? Because unlike Ahmad, they give him space. Defenses give him space. When Ahmad has the ball, they don't give him space. They get right on him because they're scared that he's going to start dribbling against them and he's going to do something. Diogo Dalot, they're not scared. So they give Dalot 3 more steps than they give Ahmad. And he's supposed to cross the ball, and whenever he does, it's horrendous. It's disgusting how bad his crosses are. I don't understand how someone who plays in that position isn't staying after training and working on his crosses. I just don't get it. I'm starting to get emotional and passionate, and it's starting to speak out loud. And I promised myself we were going to have a nice conversation today, but I can't do it, man. I can't do it. I'm mad. Okay, let's see here. Did we talk about the squad? Because I wanted to tell you, I really wanted to tell you guys that. So here's my message to the Amorim outers, man. Here's my message to Amorim outers. I understand. So the first thing I need to say is I understand. I know why you feel that way. I'm angry too, okay? But I just like to focus my anger or my upsetness at something different than the manager because I really feel like I have a decent understanding of his tactics. I don't understand all his tactics yet because we're not running it correctly for me to start understanding why is that person there during these situations or not, and that's why I don't talk about it. I also think that he himself is still experimenting in out-of-possession pressing shapes because we did try a 4-4-2 a couple of times in preseason, and now we're doing the 2-1-2 and then 5 pressing shape, which I think he's still experimenting with to understand if it's going to work or not. But then the 4-4-2 was pretty good too. I don't know if that's because we're not playing with an actual striker that he's doing this pressing shape right now, and that as soon as Benjamin Šeško starts to play, that the pressing shape's going to change back to a 4-4-2 or not. We'll find out. But I don't think that's why we're losing games. The goals aren't being scored on us because of that. Goals are being scored on us because our goalkeeper is absolutely trash on corner kicks. That's how Arsenal scored. And then the goal that Fulham scored is on Diogo Dalot and Bruno Fernandes. His 2 Portuguese compadres are the reason why Fulham scored. So I'm not, and then the fact that we're not scoring goals has more to do with the fact that it's not his patterns or his tactics are the problem. It's the players not making the right decisions when those patterns and tactics are actually showing the space that it's supposed to show. All of football is about creating tactics and patterns to open up spaces and move opposition players. That's football. That's it. Okay? And I'm making the Arsenal video has a whole lot about what I just said. That's the whole story of the Arsenal video. It's Space. The video is even called Space. And I didn't get to put it out because the Fulham game didn't end the way it was supposed to end, and I was going to use more examples. So I'm waiting for more examples of good stuff, and then I'm going to finish that with the Arsenal video, and that video will be out soon. I hope it'll be out after the Burnley game because that's what we'll do in the Burnley game, and hopefully we'll do a little bit of that in the Grimsby game. But I need to see it run with our starting 11, and I don't think today we're going to start our starting 11. I think you're going to see a lot of, like you're going to see Aid in Heaven. I hope you're going to see Kobe Mainoo. If you don't see Kobe Mainoo, then these stories about him really thinking about leaving are truer than I hoped them to be. But I think you're going to see Kobe Mainoo. I think you're going to see Ugarte today because I think that he has to. He has to give Ugarte some playing time, and we don't need so much in possession brilliance, if you will, against a team like Grimsby. So I think you're going to see a whole new starting 11 today. I really think you'll see Xerxes. I hope you see Xerxes today. I think Šeško will get a run out. I don't know if he'll start or not because if Šeško doesn't start today, by the way, it's because he'll be starting the Burnley game, and I don't think he wants to put too many miles on his legs today if he's thinking about starting him in the Burnley game. If Šeško starts today, I'm going to be pretty nervous about him starting in the Burnley game. I don't think he will. I think if he starts today, he'll get 30 minutes in the Burnley game. That's my idea. I forgot what I was talking about before I started talking about that. Oh man, what? Space. I forgot. How's it going, Semeex? Not concerned of this Mainoo news. Yeah, me too, man. I'm not. I don't really think there's much into it. I don't think they're gonna get rid of Mainoo. But guys, let's talk about the transfer window a little bit. I mean, before this transfer window started, we already knew we had Anthony, Garnacho. Who did we have? We had a lot, right? We had Garnacho to sell. We had Anthony to sell. We had Malacia to sell. We had Sancho to sell. We had Rashford to sell. We had all these people to sell, and we haven't made one single sale, guys. One single sale. Think about it. Before the window, weeks before the window opened, weeks, like before last season ended, we already had these 5 players to sell. So they've known for months and months and months. Excluding Garnacho, the other 4 players were already on sale before last season started. If you really think about it. I think Rashford was already on sale, I guess, after January. But everybody else, other than Garnacho and Rashford, they already knew they needed to sell from last season. We haven't made one sale. All we've gotten are loans with options, and that might also be happening to Rashmish with Napoli. It might be a loan with an option with an obligation trigger if he hits certain metrics. But we can't sell, at all. Not even a little bit. We can't sell. I'm concerned about that because that's how you get money in so that you can start spending more. I mean, the fact that they bought these 3 players behind my back with Benjamin Šeško, Mbumo, and Cunha over there without doing sales is commendable by Ineos. They did a good job. They did a pretty good job getting these 3 in without doing sales. But if we make a sale or 2 and we can get more players, that's what Ruben Amorim's plan was since the beginning of the summer. So he didn't plan to go into the season without a midfielder. I guarantee you that. He doesn't like any of our midfielders. He doesn't like Casemiro. He doesn't like Ugarte. He does not. I guarantee you he was never planning to go into this season without a midfielder. So who's that really on? Is that on the manager, or is that on the fact that the people who are supposed to be providing him this stuff and doing the business, that's their job, man. It's not the manager's job to sell and buy players. It really isn't. His job is to say green light or red light, depending on what, he has to agree with some of the players they're coming in. He's not going to dictate who, but he's got to say, okay, from these pool of players, I like any one of these 3. But it's not his job to go and finalize the deals, man. And that's sad that he's having to suffer because of it. Should Newcastle sack Howe? No, because it's too funny to watch them struggle with Howe. With Howe, they're going to finish in the top 6 sometimes and then bottom like 10 sometimes. Now there's conversations in the chat about Thomas Frank and Amram. I'm not sure what's going on there. We better sack Amram right now. I don't agree with that, but okay. Did you guys... Okay, for the Amram outers, that's where we were. That's where I got lost. For the Amram outers, I told you I understand where your frustration is coming from. I totally get it. I just focus my frustration on something other than the manager and his tactics because I believe in his tactics. But... can we all agree one thing, for Amram outers, can we all agree one thing, that under his reign, and Jason Wilcox together so far have had the best summer transfer window that we've had in over 8 to 10 years. Under his reign, we brought in 3 players that I believe are quality players that are going to definitely impact our team for the next 3 seasons. In ways that no other summer has ever brought in 3 players that's going to impact our team for that many seasons. We've had summers where we've been excited about BS, like Jadon Sancho, who turned out to be horrible. I don't think these 3 players are going to turn out to be horrible. I think that Ruben Amorim, if nothing else, if he does nothing else but finish, let's say, 12th place, which I don't think will happen, but let's say he finishes 12th place. If nothing else, he would have started a very, very good rebuild. Along with Jason Wilcox. And if they would have got Carlos Balaba, I would be standing here tall going like, this is the best summer we've had in a long time. And it's already almost the best summer we've had in a long time. It might actually be the best summer we've had. So if nothing else, if you're a Ruben Amorim outer, could you at least be patient and give him a couple of more windows to build a squad, because he's not bad at recruiting, to build a squad so that the next manager can have a chance at winning something. Because I'll tell you what, if you sack Amorim right now, the best you're going to get is 7th place. I don't care who you bring in. Bring in Thomas Frank. You might get 6th or 7th. That's it. That's all you're going to get. This is not a squad. And I told you already 10 minutes ago, this is not a squad that has 18 quality players. You're not challenging for nothing. You will not be challenging for nothing. If you're a Ruben Amorim outer, I get it. I get it, man. I understand why you feel that way. But he's a decent recruiter. He's a pretty darn good recruiter. Let him recruit. He's not going to get you relegated. Let him recruit. I believe he's going to finish 7th place anyway, just like Thomas Frank would. So just let him recruit. Build what? He's trying to sell Mainoo. Do you really think he's trying to sell me? Okay, don't get me started, dude. Mainoo wants to leave because the biggest World Cup to ever exist is going to happen next summer. It's going to be the biggest World Cup to ever exist. It's going to be in the USA. There's going to be marketing up. The marketing is going to be crazy. There's going to be commercials that are going to probably challenge what do you call it? The Super Bowl commercials have done, because the Super Bowl is huge for marketing and to get name recognition. That's what's going to happen in the next World Cup in the USA. It's going to be the largest World Cup ever. It's going to get crazy, crazy airtime, and anybody who's playing in that World Cup who actually does a good job, his name recognition and value is going to rise like crazy. If I was the agent of Kobe Mainoo, I'd be telling him to leave Manchester United too. And it's not because of Ruben Amorim, it's because of playing time. And I understand that he should be frustrated that he didn't get any playing time in the last game. I agree with him. I think Ruben Amorim should have sat down Bruno Fernandes. But don't sit here and say we should sack a manager because a player chooses to leave a squad. That's player FC bullshit, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Don't give me that shit. Then what? Then the Garnacho fan can sit here and tell me we should sack Ruben Amorim because Garnacho's leaving. I don't even like cursing on videos, man. Don't do this. Don't do this. 7th place after that summer, haha, we've become AC Milan. Adrian, you just don't understand how to break down a squad, and I'm sorry for you. I feel bad for you, because that's not, you got to look at the squad and tell me right now, can you name 10 players on our squad? Can you name 6 players on our squad that would get into Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Real Madrid, Barcelona? Can you name anybody that can get into these teams? If you can't, then obviously we're a 6th or 7th place team. If you can only name 3 players, if that that can get into those squads, that's not enough. That's not enough. Because if you're only naming 3, and that means the teams we're challenging against have 8 better players in their starting 11 than us. We have 3 better players than theirs, and they have 8 better players than ours. It's simple math. Like, come on, man. Come on, dude. I'm done talking about that because it's the easiest math ever. I shouldn't have to get on a video to talk about it. With Ruben, we might get relegated. No, that's not true, man. That's not true. But I can name a manager that can use this squad and get us top 4. Name one, Adrian. Please, name one. Go ahead. Name one. Name one that's not going to sit back and counter all day. Go ahead. And even that's not going to work, by the way. It's just going to win you more games. And if that's what Manchester United has become, then I no longer recognize my squad or my team. My team needs to be a goal-scoring machine. And that's what I want. And by the way, same people were saying the same thing when we had Ralph Rangnick in charge, when we had Jose Mourinho in charge, when we had every manager we've had in charge. People wanted them sacked because it was going to get better. Did it get better, guys? Did it get better? No. Can we try something different? Can we try sticking with a manager and building a squad? Please. That's all I'm trying to get at. Ahmad at wingback is a crime. Imagine if it was Salah. Who would you want as a manager then? Are we talking to me or are we talking to Adrian? I'm not sure. Anyway, let's get back to some of these other topics I wanted to talk about. My biggest problem is that, like, people think we can challenge for trophies with the squad we have. Real trophies. I'm not talking about FA Cups and Carabao Cups. Of course we could challenge for FA Cups and Carabao Cups because our starting 11 is better than other teams' second string or third string, which is what they play, because they're busy challenging for real trophies. Man City, in the early stages of Carabao Cup, are not going to play their best squad. Okay, Liverpool are not going to play their best squad because they're busy challenging for real trophies. And, you know, we're going to end up challenging for the Carabao Cups and the FA Cups. But that's not really what we want. We've been doing that for the last 10 years. Are we happy doing that? No, we still sack managers. Louis van Gaal won us the FA Cup. We sacked him. Was it the FA Cup? I think it was. And we sacked him anyway. We've won Europa Leagues and we've sacked managers the season after. It's not what we want. That's not what we're after. And that mentality of sacking the manager right now before he's done rebuilding the squad. I'm not saying that this manager is going to win us the major trophies, guys. He might. I'm not saying he's not. But I'm also not saying he is. All I'm saying is, remember when Ralph Rangnick said that this team needed heart surgery or whatever it was? And that we all felt like, let this man rebuild the squad. Let this man rebuild the team. He might not win us the trophies, but let this man do what he does. Ruben's doing it. The evidence is behind me in those posters. Ruben's doing the thing that Ralph Rangnick was going to do for us if we didn't let him go. And now we want Ruben out before he's done at least doing that. At least he's doing that right. Because guess what? Some of these guys who want these managers who think they're going to finish us in the top 4, who are they going to bring in? How are they going to get us to the top 4? Probably by bringing in more defensive-minded fullbacks. And then you're going to have someone like Ahmad sitting the bench, guys. These guys who say things like Ahmad playing right wing-back is a crime. Okay. So let's not play him at right wing-back. Let's make Ahmad a right winger. Let's go back to a 4-3-3 and make Ahmad a right winger. Do you know where Ahmad's going to be playing? On the bench behind Mbeumo. He's not going to be playing. He's going to be sitting next to Kobe Mainoo. If you're okay with that, all right. I don't understand it. At least this way, Ahmad's on the field. I don't understand these arguments. I really don't. Like, I'm sorry. I'm trying. I'm trying my best, man. I'm trying my best. But, like, people say these things, and then I go, do you understand what you're saying? You're saying you want Ahmad to be a backup for Mbeumo because that's what you just said in different words. I do apologize. Like, I don't know how else to say it. It's the truth. And that Ben says, like, we just need to see it on the pitch and all this noise will quiet down. And you're right. And it is Ruben Amorim's fault that we're not seeing it on the pitch. That I will say. Ruben Amorim keeping Bruno on the field the last game was super concerning to me. That part, I'm here to talk to everybody and say, you're right. Anybody who wants to criticize Ruben and say that he made that mistake, you're 100% right. I'm not saying he's perfect. He shouldn't have kept Bruno on the field. Keeping him on the field while he was making mistakes and literally being one of the reasons why the patterns aren't being run right was the wrong decision. And you should have given somebody else a chance, especially after they equalized. You should have definitely given somebody else a chance and sent a message to the whole squad and Bruno that, you know what, man, if you didn't do your homework and you don't see where the pattern's supposed to go next and you make the wrong pass, you're going to sit on the bench. So you better stay after training and start doing your homework and know this pattern like the back of your hand. And that's what I would do. Just like when it comes to Garnacho's sale to Chelsea, I wouldn't take a single pound less than what I demanded, and I would make Garnacho stay and sit on the bench because how much power he's given Chelsea. How much power he's given Chelsea with his demands of I'm only going to Chelsea, and Chelsea saying, well, we're only paying £30 million for him. And we all know Garnacho's worth at least 45 to 55 million pounds. I don't care what you think of the player. His potential and his ceiling is so high that he's worth at least 45. Because one day he could be selling for 70 if he reaches his potential. I know it's a gamble. He might not reach his potential. But that's the gamble these big teams take. Chelsea pays a lot of money on gambles. That's what they do. But in this situation, they don't have to pay because they have a player who's saying, I'm not going anywhere but Chelsea, or I'll sit on the bench. Fine, then you'll sit on the bench and you'll waste away. And that's the other thing I want to talk to, like, some Manchester United fans that I just got mad at, and we had that confrontation like 2 minutes ago. Believe me, I want the same thing you want. You want the same thing I want. And that's where I try to remind myself to not get angry with people who have different opinions of me and who are, like, Amorim out and stuff like that. Because I try to remind myself, like, the only reason why they're saying that is because they want the same thing I want, and they don't see how we're going to get there in the current situation. And I need to understand that, and I need to be better at staying calm and explaining to them, like, this is the way I see the situation. But the problem is, like, sometimes it just needs to be a respectful conversation on both ends, and I'm guilty of that too, so I apologize, guys. Last season we had games when Bruno didn't play, and we didn't win any of them. That's true too. He's here's the thing about Bruno. I think it's time he moves on. That's my opinion. And he's one of my favorite players. And so was Marcus Rashford. And I thought it was time for Marcus Rashford to move on. And now I'm starting to think that I think it's time for Bruno to move on. I think it's time that we start depending on someone. We got to bring somebody else then to share the load with Kobe, though. I don't think Mainoo is ready to, like, take up the mantle with no competition. Because if Mainoo's not playing great, I'd like to have somebody else to come in and play. And I'm going to tell you something about Ruben Amorim's system that I think would work if we're going to have two midfielders. So Ben asked earlier, what do I think about the two midfielders and them getting overrun in midfield? So when it comes to out of possession, I don't think that the midfielders are supposed to get overrun because we're supposed to have a box in midfield with the two 10s, the two midfielders, and then you got one center back with two other center backs on each side. So whenever the opposing team decides to do it about overloading our midfield, if they're doing it with a defensive player, then one of the 10s is supposed to come back and help. If they're doing it with an offensive player who's going back, then one of the center backs, left or right, is supposed to go in the middle and help. Unless the offensive player is their main striker going up the center, then the central center back goes up, which is exactly what De Ligt was doing in the Arsenal game. He kept going up into the midfield to help our two midfielders, and he would win every duel and every foot race against Gyökeres. So they're not supposed to be overrun in the midfield because the team's supposed to be fluid enough to go, oh, the help needs to come from the top or the help needs to come from the bottom, depending on which player the opposing team decides to overload the midfield with to battle our two midfielders. That's my go on that. Now, with that said, the two midfielders, the two center mids, are supposed to both be, both be somewhat good at the defensive side of the game. One of them should be really good, like a Balaba type, and one of them can be somewhat good, but still has to be better than Bruno. Bruno's not good enough. Mainoo, not good enough at the defensive side of the game. So both midfielders have to be somewhat competent to the defensive side of the game. One of them has to be good at carrying the ball. That's where Balaba comes in. And one of them has to be really good at distributing the ball with the long passes. So if you could put like a Hjulmand next to a Balaba, or what's that kid's name from Crystal Palace? Adam Wharton. If you can put Adam Wharton next to Balaba, that would be the ideal 2 for a Ruben Amorim system. Because you got the one guy who can carry the ball and somewhat distribute it. Balaba's not that bad at distributing, but he's mostly a carrier. And you got one guy who can ping the passes around like Michael Carrick used to do. You put them, and they're both pretty decent at the defensive side of the game. They both cover ground and read the game really well. And now you've got these 2 linchpins in the midfield that keep the opposition teams guessing. Because when you have a guy who can carry the ball really well, you don't want to get super duper close to him because he's going to leave you. Okay? So you play a foot or 2 or 3 away from him to see what his first move is. So if you want to stop Neymar, you don't get close to Neymar because he's going to leave you. If you want to stop Neymar, you stay a little bit farther away from Neymar and you go, okay, go ahead, show me what you're going to do. And then you try to anticipate when the ball's a little bit farther away to go take it from him. If you're playing against Adam Wharton, you get close to Adam Wharton. You don't give him space because all he's trying to do is pick a pass, so you get close to him so he can't pick a pass. So he has to play the short pass or go backwards. You don't want to let Adam Wharton look upfield because he's going to pick a pass and ping it. That's where that's how you get 2 midfielders in a Ruben Amorim system that would work really well. I hope that makes sense. Let's read some of your comments. Silva figured out Amorim. They pinned the look back, and United defenders weren't able to help midfield. That's actually kind of true, but I don't think that. So my favorite player on the squad right now would be that man right there, Cunha. I don't think that Cunha came back enough to help the midfield in that game when that started happening. So when that starts happening, when he's pinning your defenders back because he's got a bunch of players, that means that he's overloading the midfield with more of their midfielders or their defenders. That means your 10s have to come back and help now. If Cunha wasn't the 10, sometimes it was Mount. Mount was doing good, but Mbumo could have helped a little bit more. Mount could have helped a little bit more. Whenever the defenders get pinned back, then the 10s have to come back and help. But yes, you're right. That is exactly what happened, and the 10s didn't help. And that's what I was trying to explain earlier, that there's help in the 2 at the top of the box, and there's help at the 2 on the side of the central center back. The help has to come from there. What's going on? So let's get Amorim perfect squad. So Stanley says, so let's get Amorim perfect squad. Let's think about that statement a little bit, Stanley. And I understand where that's coming from. So that's why I'm addressing it. I think it's a good comment to address. Instead of thinking, so let's get Amorim's perfect squad, why can't we think like, let's build Manchester United with a perfect squad, and then if we need to get rid of the manager, we will? Why can't that be the mentality? Because that's the mentality I'm going in it with. That like, why can't we go, okay, where are our weaknesses? How do we build this squad better? And then if the manager doesn't pan out, then we get a different manager. Because, guys, he's doing a decent job building a squad. Him and Jason Wilcox together and Christopher Vavell are doing pretty good work when it comes to rebuilding a squad. Unfortunately, we don't have unlimited money. And, guys, the other thing I want everybody to remember is Arsenal had a better squad than us last season, a much better squad than us last season. Liverpool has a much better squad than us last season. Man City had a much better squad than us last season. Chelsea had a much better squad than us last season. And all of them have spent more money this summer than we have. We've spent money. I'm not saying we haven't spent, but they trumped us. And we're trying to catch up, right? We're trying to catch up, and they've spent more money than us. Now, some people will talk to me about net spend and gross spend. Don't give me that. I'm talking about money spent, period. I don't care about net spend. Yes, they all sold better than us too, obviously. We don't know how to sell. It's something we need to fix. But they did spend more money than us. And money in this game, unfortunately, kind of wins. Teams who spend the most money kind of win. And we needed to spend even more. We needed to change more players. Did we spend the money in the right place? Did we need 2 10s? I understand that question for sure, 100%. But, and I agree with you, by the way. So I want to answer this in a way where you understand that I actually do understand the concern and I agree with you. But I also understand why they did it when they were thinking, we're going to get rid of Garnacho, we're going to get rid of Rasmus Højlund. So when they were thinking, we're going to get rid of Garnacho, we're going to get rid of Rasmus Højlund, they probably were looking at, a striker and a 10, and then the 2 10s. Why did they get another 10 in Mbumo? I think is just really, really worried about goals because we didn't score a lot of goals. So I get what you're saying, but I'm trying to picture a boardroom setting. And I'm trying to picture all these guys in a boardroom setting and with a locked door and talking about what the squad needs. And probably someone came up with this squad definitely needs more goals. And they would be right because we need a lot more goals than we scored last season. And then they went, let's just rebuild the whole front line. I wish one of them would go, we need to rebuild the whole midfield while we're at it. And I think I don't think Ruben Amorim was sitting there not saying that. I think Ruben Amorim was sitting there going, we need a whole new front line and I need at least one midfielder. I really do, because they were ready to spend the bank on Carlos Balaba, I think. Well, not the bank, but they were ready to spend on Carlos Balaba. Ben says, why do you think we're using a false 9? I think I don't think that's going to be a long-term thing at all. I think he's just giving Benjamin Šeško a chance to acclimate to the new environment and the weather. I don't think that's something that's going to continue on much farther than the next week or two. That's it. After 2 weeks from now, starting, I don't know when, but you're always going to see Šeško start up the middle. I think. I don't think we're going to run that front false 9 unless Šeško can't play for some reason. Before the season started, we said Amorim needs a new midfielder and goalkeeper, but now suddenly Amorim is a problem. Good comment there. Amorim will not survive without a new midfielder. Correct. By the way, Semeex, amazing to see you with 72 viewers on the lineup, man. You and Adam Clary, my favorite tacticians. Thank you, bro. Thank you, man. Thank you for the kind words, dude. I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. Marcus is here. What's up, man? We have yet to give a manager a full squad since Sir Alex. Marcus, I love you, dude. We've spent on 1/3 of a team and then drive him out. We need to see the process completed. Marcus, you are the man, dude. Thank you so much for wording it exactly what I was struggling to say. You just said so perfectly. Ahmad and Mount Xerxes, Bruno, Kobe, we have 7 10s. Yeah, we have 7 10s. You're right, Richard Miller. And I understand. Again, I understand. I totally understand what you're saying. We have 7 10s, but those 10s were here last year, and we didn't score goals. So if I'm in charge, and I'm in a boardroom, and I say we need to score more goals, and I know that Amorim's tactics created chances because we created chances last season. We didn't score them. Which is the same thing that's happening this season, by the way. Don't tell me we haven't created enough chances to win the Arsenal game or to win the Fulham game. In the first 5-10 minutes of the Fulham game, we should have been 3-0 up. At least 2-0 up. We're creating chances. They're just not going in. So forget that that's happening this season. If that's what was happening last season and I'm sitting around the boardroom, I'm thinking, yeah, we got 7 10s. They're not scoring. There's only 2 ways to score goals. You tactically figure out how to create chances. That wasn't the issue. After you figured out how to create chances, the ball's not going in the hole. That means Rasmus Højlund's not really doing a great job, and the 10s aren't doing a great job. That's what they must have decided in the boardroom. I'm not saying you're wrong, okay? I'm just saying I'm trying to think of it as like what happened in the boardroom. Why did they decide to do this? Now, I was hoping that they decided to do this with also an eye on rebuilding the midfield. I didn't know they're going to do this and then go, we'll rebuild the midfield later. It's like, wait, what? No. You rebuild. My problem with Ruben Amorim is this. My problem with Ruben Amorim is that he wanted to keep Bruno Fernandes. And I'll tell you the truth. When that story came out that Saudi was interested in Bruno Fernandes, I made a video about it. And even in that video, I was like, I don't know whether I want him to leave or not. And that's the truth. I didn't know. Part of me was like, I want him to stay because I think he could be very vital and a good piece for us. But after the way he played these last 2 games, the first 2 games of the season, I'm like, damn, maybe he should have left, right? This whole keeping Bruno thing is starting to feel a lot like deja vu with the keeping Eric Ten Hag thing after the FA Cup win, where you're like, okay, they're deciding to keep Eric Ten Hag because we just won the FA Cup, and maybe that's going to be the turnaround, and maybe we're going to start next season with a new energy, Eric Ten Hag, a couple more signings, and we'll start moving forward from here. And then come November, we sack Eric Ten Hag because it was a bad decision to keep him in the first place. The whole keeping Bruno thing over the summer is starting to feel like that kind of decision where maybe we shouldn't have kept him. Maybe we should have sold him for a ton of money to the Saudis and used that money to rebuild the whole midfield in the exact way that's needed for this system to run. Because even if we replace Ruben Amorim in the future, if we would have got a Carlos Balaba next to an Adam Wharton, that would help any manager. Any manager coming in after would still want those players. Nobody would not want these players. And that's what I mean by they're doing a pretty good job recruiting these players, because there's no manager who wouldn't want these players, by the way. There's no manager coming in who wouldn't want these players. So even if Adrian, I don't know if he's still here, but even if Adrian's right and Ruben Amorim needs to get sacked, and one day he does, we're still moving in the right direction. I've taken a lot of time to listen and study your content and your personality over time. I think you're better than the credits you get. Your time is coming. Better days ahead. Love from Nigeria. Miracle, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. A lot more than you think, because I do get some negativity in the comments. And for some reason, when you read 3 nice comments and you read 1 negative one, the negative one stays with you for the whole day. And you just go, man, why does that guy hate me? And like, why can't he see what I see? Why doesn't he understand what I'm saying? We need a comfortable win tonight, says ADT. I have to be careful. I think that's what you're going to get. I think that's what you're going to get. I think we're going to get a fresh team, but here's the problem. Here's the danger Ruben faces, okay? I think about this. Here, let me point the picture for you. Kobe Mainoo starts. Kobe Mainoo does an amazing job. The diamonds are taking shape. The counterattacks are happening. Zone 18 passes. You got Xerxes one-touch passing it. Good things are happening, right? Let's say good things are happening. And we win the game 3-1, 4-0, 3-0, whatever. And there goes the media leading up to the Burnley game. Kobe Mainoo should be starting. Bruno should be on the bench. Xerxes should be starting. And Mbumo on the bench, or whatever. And you're going to have some fans who actually also jump on board with that train. And it's not fair because it's Grimsby. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. We can easily lose a game or draw a game to Grimsby too. They might be fired up. Man, you get it. You get a squad full of players who are probably looking forward to this game when it comes to Grimsby. They're playing Manchester United. It's like a dream come true to most of these players. They just might have that passion and I don't know their manager. I don't know what kind of tactics they run. I don't know if they're gonna park the bus and then counterattack, and then next thing you know they get a 1-0 win on us. So we could lose the game. Don't get me wrong. I don't think we will. Odds are we're not. Odds are we're gonna win. If we score early, they're dead. That's my opinion. If we score within the first 15, 20 minutes, they're dead. They can't go in a shell. How long can they do that? Maybe they will. And maybe they'll stay in that shell to the 60th minute and then decide, okay, we only have 30 minutes left. We got to go get that goal back. And then they're going to come out of their shell, and then we score another 2 or 3 goals. Grimsby loves to score from corners. Oh, my God. Alpha just burst my bubble, man. And, yeah, that would totally burst my bubble if Grimsby scores from corners. But, who here, I have a feeling that this would be the game to let Tom Heaton play. This would be the game to put Bayindir on the bench and let Heaton play. So maybe the corners won't be that bad. Huh? So why shouldn't the players who play and shine tonight not start against Burnley? 2 reasons. Number 1, it's only 3 days after and they won't be fully fit again. I don't think they will because early in the season, they don't have that kind of mileage in their legs. Plus, they haven't been playing. That's one reason. Even if everything else goes your way, the fitness region is obvious, right? Like no one can argue against that. And Ruben Amorim is about fitness. He always tries to play the most fit players. So that's one reason. But that doesn't mean that after the Burnley game or in the Burnley game, we don't pull. Let's say Mainoo has a fantastic game today. Then maybe what we do is we still let Bruno start the Burnley game, but we put Mainoo in the 60th minute and sit Bruno down in the last 30 minutes unless Bruno's having an amazing game. Unless Bruno has finally turned things around and he's actually doing great. But that's probably not going to happen. Bruno's probably just going to be the same Bruno we've seen in the last 2 weeks. So you pull Bruno out in the 60th minute, you give Mainoo the last 30 minutes, and then if Mainoo does good in that game for the last 30 minutes, following week you start Mainoo. That's the slow progression and maybe the right political way to do it where no one in the dressing room can say anything. But I don't know. Like, you might be right too. You might just start Mainoo right away if Mainoo has a great game today. Let's see. What did Ben say? I missed something Ben said earlier. I can't find it now. Ben, put it there again. Marcus says Ben 100, so I'm wondering what that's about. You're running out of content on a thin line between positivity and negative. You are running your content on a thin line between positivity and negativity. Oh, you mean I'm fair and balanced? I'm sorry, Baba Flossie. I don't know if you're trying to tell me that. I don't know if that's supposed to be a negative comment towards me and my content, but I try to be. I don't know if you know what I do for a living, but you need to go watch my videos. I manage a team of coaches. I have to be fair and balanced. I run my content exactly the way I live my life. When things are negative, I get negative. I do this for a living. Like, this isn't content creation. That's who I am. I have to be fair and balanced. I have to put my foot down when it's time to put my foot down. And I have to raise people up when it's time to give them confidence. I don't know any other way to be, man. I'm sorry. Like, I don't even know how to respond to that. Because I'm like, that's me. That's who I am. That's what I do for a living. That's how I need to be successful at what I do. And I get emotional when it's time to be emotional. And then I'd get even keel. And you saw it today. You saw it today in this live. If you go back, if you just joined this live, if you looked earlier, I got super emotional, super angry, super negative. And then right away, I toned it back down and got back to even keel. And I got back to rationale and logic. And I brought it back to logic and stepped away from the emotion. That's just the way I am. That's how I have to be in my career, too. Maybe that's where it comes from because I've been doing it for a long time. Adrian, thank you, man. I appreciate you. I do appreciate you, even if we disagree, dude. I do appreciate you. I get in arguments all the time at work. Like, you're going to get disagreements. What injury does Maz have? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I like Mazraoui off the bench, and I like him as an option. I don't really like him as a starter sometimes, but I see the value in having someone like him start for someone who needs to sit on the bench and think about how he's played. Baba Flossie, thank you, man. Thank you for respecting my answer. Who is the players in between Cunha and Šeško? Your big head covering it. It's our other big signing, man. It's our other big signing. It's Mbeumo. Mbooms. Hey, be cool. What's up, man? It's Mbeumo. So anybody who's been with me since last year, and I know I was small last year. I had like 700 subscribers. Anybody who was with me last summer, at the end of the summer, I put up my 3 favorite signings posters behind me. It was Lenny Yoro on that side, Xerxes on this side, and Mazraoui in the middle. And then after a couple of months, I changed it to something else. And now these are my 3 favorite signings of this summer. But if we sign Balaba, guys, I don't know which one of those is coming off the wall, but one of those is coming off the wall if we sign Balaba. I'll probably let you guys vote on who's coming off the wall if we sign Balaba. Okay, wait. I'm gonna take that back. I'll let you guys vote as long as you don't vote Cunha. As long as you don't, I'm not voting. As long as you don't vote Cunha, I'll let you guys vote. Cunha won't be a part of the vote. Come to think of it, why not use Tom Heaton instead of Bayindir? I think it's Bayindir's distribution because honestly, guys, his distribution's been really good. But also, like, I think he wants a new goalkeeper, and that's that. I think we're getting a new goalkeeper. I don't think this window closes without us getting a goalkeeper. That just sounds crazy to me if we don't. But I understand. Like, I think Tom Heaton is going to be our cup goalkeeper. The only thing Bayindir is doing wrong is the corner kicks, but don't get me wrong, that's like child schoolboy stuff. You think I got emotional with you guys. If I was one of the coaches, especially if I'm the set piece coach, after every game I would put Bayindir in a room and I would be yelling at him like you wouldn't believe. And I would show him video. Oh my God, it would be miserable for him. Oh my God, it would be miserable for him. And then I'd have to sit him down and calm down and get logical and be like, hey, man, like, you can't do this. This is your once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You're playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. If you mess this up, you're not going to get a chance like this again. You're going to end up in Turkey playing for, maybe Galatasaray for the rest of your life. So figure this out already. My friend, don't you think psychologically the 3-4-3 system is disliked by the players by default? Look at Xabi, goes to Real and 3-4-3 no more. No. I don't. Your question was, do I think that it's psychologically bad for the players? No, because I think Lenny Yoro's thriving in it. So think about some players who are going to struggle every time you make a formation change. Some players are going to struggle and some players are not. If we just take Lenny Yoro for example, that's who was behind me. Yeah, I already said that, right? Lenny Yoro on one side. If we take Lenny Yoro for example, in any other system, Lenny Yoro's not going to get to venture forward as much as he's getting to venture forward under Ruben Amorim in the 3-4-3. There is no CB switch in any other system. If it happens, it's not by pattern, it's by coincidence that it happens, and things do happen by coincidence. And Lenny Yoro would not be doing as well as he's doing now. Think about Patrick Dorgu. I think in the 3-4-3, Patrick Dorgu gets to show off more of both sides of his game, like a what's his name, Frimpong type of player. Think about Cunha and Mbeumo. Especially Cunha. Cunha's thriving in the 3-4-3 because he gets to play just inside instead of wide. Cunha doesn't want to go out wide. So if we change this system, is Cunha going to be our false 9 then? Is he going to have to play there? Or because he's not going to be able to play as an attacking midfielder unless he's going to do more defensive work than he's doing in this system. So the answer to your question is yes and no, depending on which player you're talking about. Now, I think the players you would be talking about are Ugarte, Casemiro, because they're the only ones struggling in the 3-4-3 because they got a lot more ground to cover. And unfortunately, I don't care about those players. That's really harsh for me to say, but it's the truth. Those players, I think, are the ones that need to be replaced. So I'm only going to worry about our future players and how they feel. And our future players are thriving in the system because, as I said earlier, if you're thinking about Ahmad, if we change back to a 4-3-3, Ahmad will be on the bench for Mbeumo. Ahmad's not going to be playing much. So I don't know which players you're talking about. The only ones that make sense are Casemiro and Ugarte that might be disliking this system because it doesn't work for their legs and it doesn't work for Ugarte's. Ugarte wants to have 2 midfielders in front of him so he can play behind them as a defensive midfielder and just distribute the ball like this, right? Like he does for Uruguay. Make sense? Whereas in this type of system, he only has 1 midfielder next to him. So if that's not an option, he's got to help get the ball forward or he's going to be passing backwards all day and probably not what he wants to do. Also, if you remember in the Everton game, Ugarte tried to dribble because he was you want your central midfielders to carry the ball a little. He tried to dribble, fell down on his ass, and he scored when they scored a goal. It just doesn't work. Thank you for the support, Uravanda. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. Casemiro for age and Ugarte for his limited ability. Yeah, exactly. Marcus 100% agree. I don't know what Marcus said. The cyberbully to Cunha signing may be the most underrated signing in a long time. 100%. 100%. That's why I said you can't vote Cunha. Cunha stays. Cunha stays. But if we sign Balaba, one of those can come down. It breaks my heart because I really don't want to take down Mbeumo or Benjamin Šeško. For me, I have a lot of belief in Benjamin Šeško. I think he's going to come good, but it might not be this season. And that's why I haven't talked about it a lot in videos about how good I think he can be. Because I think it might be next season when you start seeing him shine. But I'm already seeing things in his hold-up play that are going to help us this season. But when it comes to like his goal scoring and like his muscling people in the box on the other side, I think that you're going to see more of probably next season. I think he needs a season to like, adapt. But his hold-up play, he's already doing pretty well. Well, why not the 4-3-2-1 like Ancelotti in 2007? Lenny could be a normal CB. Yeah, but are you getting the best out of Lenny if you make him a normal CB? You know what I mean? He's so good distributing. He's so good running forward and carrying. I don't know, man. Like, again, like I understand your point and I understand why you're saying this. But I think you'll come to appreciate the system once we get the right midfielder. But I don't know if we're going to get the right midfielder. So you might be right and I might be wrong. And we might have to do something by the end of the season to change to something else. So it's such a hard thing to do. I don't know what Jason Wilcox is thinking when he sits down and he looks at our squad and thinks about our squad. Like, he's got to know that we need a midfielder. Like, he can't not know that. And he had to have known by the end of last season that we needed a midfielder. So I don't know. Maybe they need to go on another fishing trip, guys. Maybe Sir Jim Ratcliffe needs to take these guys on another fishing trip, because last time they went on a fishing trip, they came back and they bought Mbeumo and Šeško, right? So maybe they need to go on another fishing trip so they can come back and buy Balaba and a goalkeeper. Balaba was subbed at halftime last weekend. Alpha, I really think the Balaba story is not done. Maybe that's wishful thinking. I didn't want to say something like that on this video, and I've been wanting to say that in a couple of videos. Maybe it's wishful thinking. But I really think the Balaba story is not done. God, I really want Balaba. How would your satisfaction be if we got Wharton versus Balaba versus Hjulman versus Agumo versus Stiller? What? Again, I think Balaba is in a class of Agume is a Balaba type, but a little worse of a player. So Balaba would be up here, Agume would be right here. The other two are more, or the other three, Wharton, Hjulman, Stiller, are more of the other type, which is the distributor with the passing, not the carrier, and the less ground covered type of player. Whereas Balaba is high ground covered and high carrying. Agume is medium ground covered, medium carrying. And then the other three are medium to low ground covered because they're not as fast with their pace, and no carrying, mostly distributing with the passing and the pinging. I would like one of those and another one of those to play side by side, right? Like I would like one profile and the other profile to play side by side. So when you say, what would my satisfaction be? Right now, the distributor is Bruno Fernandes, so we need the Balaba type. If we got Wharton and put him next to Bruno Fernandes, I'd still be worried about how much ground we can cover. Eventually, I want Bruno gone, and I want one of those and the other profile of those. Maybe Balaba's head has been turned, thus the poor performance so far. I hope so. That would be great. Fantastic. Let's hope he gets one more poor performance if that's the case. 100% we go in one more time before the end of the window. Yes, Shant, I believe that. I hope so, at least. Is the starting 11 already known or what? Oh, for today, I have no idea. No, it's usually an hour before the game, so probably in another 40 minutes. You know what sucks about today's game? I have to go to bath time. What's up, man? Bro, I saw you on that other channel. Much respect to you and your ideas. I really enjoyed watching or hearing, I didn't get to watch because you didn't show your face. I really enjoyed hearing your ideas on tactical devils. That's the classic AC Milan midfielders, a passer and a runner. Yeah. That's a very good call there, Ben. What do you think Amorim didn't change the Why do you think Amorim didn't change the tactical pattern for Fulham? Maybe that was planned. Like I noticed in the match, Šeško was playing as a false 9. So when you say I noticed Šeško was playing with a false 9, if you watch my old videos, then you know that the striker is supposed to come all the way to midfield and receive with his back to goal, and then he gives it to a forward passing player, and then that springs an attack forward. So if that's what you're calling a false 9, then yeah, that's a part of the deal. But also the striker is supposed to run to zone 16s and 18s whenever the opportunity presents itself. And the opportunity presents itself when we're passing backwards and the opposing team starts to bring their defenders all the way back to closer to midfield, and then the striker springs and gets behind there. So the way the pattern works is the striker plays as a false 9, but also at high up the line, depending on the situation and when it's supposed to be. It's hard to explain verbally. I like to show it in the videos. I'm sorry. It's really hard to explain verbally without showing the footage. Of course, his head has turned. Marcus, be cool. Not till 17. Big up, Mr. Owl. Still doing Ugarte propaganda. What does that mean? In a negative way or a positive way? Because I've been negative on Ugarte for the most part. If it's not good enough for Luis Enrique, who's a manager I really, really like. So the guys who say, we need to sack Amorim, I hope not. I hope we never do. I hope he wins titles, and I hope we're happy. But if we ever change Ruben Amorim, I really want Luis Enrique. And he wouldn't want Ugarte, obviously. Italians tend to put their best passer at number 6. Yes, the maestro. It's often cited English football doesn't produce or respect those kind of 6s. Adam Wharton is becoming those kind of 6s, though, right? Adam Wharton is becoming a Michael Carrick type and that kind of 6. F1, thank you so much, man. Thank you for respecting the answers. Thank you for having a respectful conversation. How many times did Carrick play for England? Oh, I don't know. Can you do a Balaba alternative analysis video, please? Oh, that's so hard. That's so hard, man. So a Balaba alternative is a Michael Essien type. Conte in his better carrying seasons. Conte had some poor seasons when he was on the ball, but he's also had some seasons where he's been magnificent on the ball. Powerful midfielder who covers a lot of ground and can carry the ball. And if you're asking me what are the alternatives right now in world football, I don't watch a whole lot of leagues. That's my problem. I don't watch the Bundesliga. I don't watch the French league. And when it comes to the Spanish league, they don't make many of those in the Spanish league because they don't, except for Agume, they play a slower game there. It's a little bit different. And when it comes to, the Italian league, I guess you would say that kid from Atalanta, Ederson, but even he's not as good as Balaba because Ederson's actually a little bit slow in making decisions, whereas Balaba is dynamic in a lot of ways. Yeah, Conte on the ball was way mid, says Be Cool. He had some seasons where he was so bad, and then he had some seasons where he was really good. Like, Conte on the ball was a crapshoot. You never knew what you were going to get. He won 34 caps for England, 31 whilst at United. Yeah, Carrick's great, man. Guys, any other subject that we need to cover other than the fact that can I just get a vote from you guys if Garnacho is... This is this kind of stuff that's on my mind right now because I want this stuff to wrap up. You got Rasmus Højlund, you got Garnacho, you got Jadon Sancho, you got Anthony. Jadon Sancho, I would take anything for. I don't care what I would like. If they gave me a loan where they take over most of his wages, I would say yes. But Garnacho and Anthony, I would not, and Rasmus, I would not sell for anything less than whatever a good price is. Anthony, I don't want to do any more loans. He already did a loan. He proved he can play. I don't want to do any loans for him. So it's got to be a pay, or if it's a loan, it's got to be an obligation to buy. Garnacho, no loan. No loan whatsoever. It's got to be sell, and it's got to be an obligation to buy if it's a loan. Rasmus is the only one where a loan with an obligation makes sense because Rasmus had a bad season last season. So that makes sense. Like, why would anybody be like, oh, yeah, after he played, let me give you $40 million? I wouldn't do it if I was the owner of a team. So Rasmus would be the only one that's a loan, whereas the other two, Garnacho and Anthony, did okay last season. They've shown their qualities, and they got to be sold. No more loans. So I'm going to ask you guys, and this is the last thing we're going to talk about, and then maybe I'll do a score prediction. I'm going to ask you guys, what are your ideas if Chelsea doesn't offer what we want for Garnacho? Do we drop our price and sell him? Or do we keep him and let him rot on the bench? If Anthony keeps persisting with this, we got two players who are saying, I'm not going anywhere but a certain team. That is BS. That kills us. You got Anthony saying, I don't want to go anywhere but Real Betis, and you got Garnacho saying, I don't want to go anywhere but Chelsea, which makes these other teams like Real Betis say, oh, we can take him on loan. We can't really pay for him, which is BS, or, they don't offer enough money. And then you got Chelsea who are throwing money at everybody except for us, right? They got money for everything, but they don't have any money for us or Garnacho. They're like, oh, Garnacho's only worth $30 million. And they know damn well he's worth more than $30 million. So do we keep and bench? Or do we take what we can get? That's the question. Interesting says sell. Let me see if I know how to do this. Let me see if I know how to do a poll. Start a poll. Yes for sell. No for keep and bench. Did that work? Okay, vote yes for sell, no for keep and bench. I want to see what we get here. Let's do this. I really want to know because I know what I think. I already gave it away. I told you guys what I think. Andy, thank you so much, man. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it more than you know, man. Thank you. So far, that's interesting. That's interesting. And I'll tell you why it's interesting in a second, because I'll explain to you my mentality after we're done with the vote, and I'll explain to you where I'm coming from, and I'll explain to you like the positives and negatives of both. I don't want to sell $20 notes for a $5 when I think Amarim is on a tight rope and the next manager will probably use Garnacho. Oh. Interesting also. So Bath Time is betting on Amarim might get sacked very soon and the next manager might want to use Garnacho. Interesting. I only see a point in keeping him if he can be reintegrated, which I don't know how it'll be for the dressing room. Very, very, very valid point there. That's a good argument. That's hard to argue against, even though I am of the no section where I would say no, let him rot. And Matt Hur is opposite of me, but he makes a very valid point that's very hard for me to argue against. Be Cool goes with the F-bombs. You need to put the player's name in the poll, please, for the next time. Oh, so you want... I'm talking about Garnacho and Anthony, by the way. That's it. Those two only. Garnacho and Anthony. Shoot. Sorry, man. Yeah, Vincent. Sorry. First time I do a poll, by the way. I should get a prize. I did a poll. You need to word it. I thought you meant if they don't decide to move, I'd put in the reserves. Of course, I want to sell them. Should I? All right, I'm ending that poll. We're going to do a new poll. How do I word it, guys? Would you sell Anthony and Garnacho for less than they're worth, or keep them and let them rot on bench? Yes to sell, no to keep. Oh, now it won't let me do a poll. Oh, I typed too many things, dude. There's a limit of how many words you can type. Guys, what are you doing to me, man? Let me see. You guys are killing me. Yes to sell. No to keep. This has got going good. This is not going good. Thanks a lot, Marcus. All right. That's worded good enough. Figure it out. I had to like cut some words out for it to post. Romano is posting a deal is close, by the way, for Garnacho. Yeah, he's been doing that for like a week, dude. Literally for like 4 days, he's been saying, Garnacho deal is close. Garnacho deal is whatever. And wearing Villa shirts. I love cyberbullies. Want to keep Garnacho after giving the middle finger to fans, acting like brats in the dressing room, shouting at heaven and training in front of the whole stadium. Actually, cyberbully brings up a lot of good points, guys. Like, he did give middle finger to some Manchester United fans, guys. Like, I don't know, man. At some point, we need to stop selling players cheaply and not let teams take advantage of our situation. Now, here's the thing, the difference between cyberbully saying wanting to keep Garnacho and me wanting to keep Garnacho. I don't want to keep Garnacho to let him play. I don't want him to play. I want to keep Garnacho to prove a point of we're not selling unless we get what we think the player is worth. That's why I want to keep Garnacho. I want to keep Garnacho to also let every future player know that, like, don't play this game with us. You'll just stay here and sit on the bench. Don't tell us where you're only willing to go. Oh, I'm only willing to go to Chelsea. Okay, well, if you're only willing to go to Chelsea, then you're going to the, academy locker room or whatever and hang out over there. You're not going to hang out with the big boys, and you're not going to Chelsea either. So good luck, because you have like a 3-year contract with us, and unless you're waiting 3 years and Chelsea will take you after 3 years, you're not playing a single minute for the next 3 seasons. That's why I would keep Garnacho. And that would prove a point. That would stop that cycle right there and then. It'll never happen again. Yes, it might cost me £30 million today, but it will prevent from costing me hundreds of millions of pounds in the future with other players. True, Semeex football, but that's what we expect signings to do for us. Ben, yes and no. Let me explain where I'm coming from. We expect other signings to do that for us, but we also offer a fair market value for those signings. We have never, ever made a signing sit out and kick up a fuss and throw his toys out the pram and then only offer £30 million. Never. We expect signings to do that for us because the team is taxing us double what the player is worth, or is asking for $15 million more than what a player is worth. We've never done that to undervalue a player. We just want to play the player's value, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with Balaba kicking up a storm because he doesn't want to be sold for £115 million. Is Balaba actually worth £115 million? No, he's not. They should be happy with £80 million. That's a lot. That's a lot for a rookie midfielder in the Premier League who's only played 1 or 2 seasons. I don't remember how many seasons. I think it's 1. 80 million is a lot of money, man. 115 million pounds is like goal scorer money. That's not midfielder money. Especially in the time period that we're strapped in PSR. I would argue 40 million is fair market value for Garnacho. I'd take 40 million, but they want 35 with like add-ons. Like, they want to pay 25 guaranteed and 10 million in add-ons. Rasmus is a professional. He's leaving because Man United needs money. Yes. And then I will say one positive thing about Marcus Rashford. Although he did the same thing, and he said, I won't go anywhere but Barcelona. But at least he was willing to take a pay cut to do it. Whereas Jadon Sancho is not even willing to do that, right? Like, at least Rashford was accommodating in some ways to get the move that he wants. Whereas, you got players like, what do you call it? You got players that won't do any of that, right? I didn't even realize that this whole time Garnacho was standing next to me while I'm talking. 100 mil for Balaba is media based and Chelsea buying Caicedo. Yeah, exactly, but still, like, I'm pretty sure they won't sell unless we give them 100 or more, right? They're not. If we offered them 80 million right now, I don't think they would sell. And that's crazy. That's crazy. They're Brighton. Like, they already have a midfielder on the bench. They just benched Balaba and they brought in another guy who did the Balaba job. Like, they already have the replacement. I don't know. Anyway, last info says it would be worth around 40 million. With how much an what Milan? How much of that is guaranteed though? How much is that is guaranteed? It's probably 40 million with like 8 or 10 million in add-ons, maybe 5. And a lot of those add-ons are like easy, right? Because Garnacho's going into a stacked squad. I don't know how much playing time he's going to get. If you really think about it, how much playing time can Garnacho get with that stacked squad? And they're going to get Xavi Simons or whatever his name is also. I am going to be late to work, dude. I am going to be late to work. I got to be there in exactly an hour, and I still have to eat breakfast. I really want to be here and watch the game with you guys and stay alive. I really do. And hopefully one day that dream will come true, and I'll be able to create content more often. I've done a lot of like learning how to edit. I know it's when you watch my videos, you probably see things and you're like, what was that weird thing or whatever. I'm still learning, but I promise my videos are going to be of higher quality the more we go. We're going to have a membership where I'm going to make exclusive member videos at least twice a month, because I want to, and I want to make it better. And maybe once in a while, we'll have a member video post on the regular channel for everyone to watch so they can see what members are getting. Somebody asked me, I think it was Ben, somebody asked me for a Discord. I already made one, and I'm not ready to release. Everything will start happening September 15. September 15, my work season starts to a little bit slow down, so I can post more videos and work more. I'll have the Discord live. We'll start doing more stuff, man. Semeex, move to Manchester. I will rent you a room with exclusive price. I didn't know you were in Manchester, bro. And because I know that now, let's keep in touch, because I am planning a trip to Manchester after next summer window. So like next August, exactly a year from now. The reason why is I could have gone to Manchester this season to watch a game. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, because I'm always honest with you guys. I don't think the squad's good enough yet. And I say that in every video. This squad is a 7th place squad. But I think after next summer window, we're going to have, if they rebuild the way they're rebuilding, they bring in 3 more signings next summer as good as these 3 signings, we're going to have a better squad. And I want to see that. I want to go to Old Trafford. I want to watch that, so I can't wait. My boss called and fired me. He wouldn't do that, man. Yeah. I am the boss. So I don't own the business, so someone can fire me. But I am the boss at my facility. I'm actually in France on September 15, but I'll do my best to get involved. No, September 15 is just a date where my work starts to slow down. I might not do anything on YouTube September 15, Ben, so that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, like, after September 15, I'll have more time, and there'll be more videos. There'll be a Discord live. There'll be a membership. There'll be all kinds of things coming after that. It might not be that day. That's just when my work starts to slow down. If you get a million subscribers, the price is gonna change, dude. See, Manchester United tax already. Manchester United tax before I even blow up. You're telling me if you blow up, I'm charging you more for the same thing you were gonna charge me less for, man. And that's what I mean. That's what I mean. I would have to bench you. I'd have to treat you like Garnacho. No clubs get themselves in situations like United where they bounce the player without a buyer. Oh, he's talking to be cool. Sorry. Okay, guys, I do have to go. I got to eat. I got to get ready, and I got to get to work. And I swear I would love to be here, and I'd love to watch the game live. I'm not even going to get to watch the game live. My lunch break is around like 1 or 2 o'clock where I have a little bit of time, and I'm going to get to watch the game during that on replay. So I'm not going to check anything. I'm not going to check X. I have to watch the game as if I don't know what's going on, or else I get already mad or not too happy when we score because I already knew we scored because I knew to score. So I'm not checking anything. I'm not checking comments. I'm not checking nothing. So don't expect to hear from me or see anything posted on X from me until way later in today or tomorrow. By the way, if you don't follow me on X, shame on you. Follow me on X. Somewhere right there is my handle. It's at Man United FC Man. Please follow me on X. That way you stay up to date with everything I'm doing. Cheers. Thank you, Ben. See you soon. Richard, see you soon. Marcus, be cool. Milan, everybody. Adrian, I forgot your name. I agree with you. We all love Manchester United. That's the part I agree with you with. But I'm keeping Ruben Amorim for a little while longer. Eddie, what's up, bro? Where have you been? See you guys later. I have to go. I really do. I wish I didn't. See you, man. Where am I? How do I end this?